Well, I will keep my eye on the admissions and we'll go ahead and get started. Thank you so much for being here tonight. As a reminder, this is being recorded. So if you want to remain anonymous, keep your video turned off and you can change your screen name. And we'll go ahead and I want to give a quick recap of what EcoFlora has done so far. We launched our newsletter in August and we've been hosting workshops and our social media is up and running. We've collaborated with local groups on EcoQuest, newsletters, and more. The Arizona Native Plant Society, McDowell Sonoran Conservancy Kids, Maricopa County Parks, and of course CASCA and DBG. And as of last week, I believe, we've just passed 8,000 observations, so that's really exciting. That was a cool milestone. And then we have almost 200 project members. So that's really exciting too. And thank you to all of you who have been participating and future participants, possibly, if there's anyone. All right, so did everyone get the email that I sent out a little bit ago with the bingo board? Yeah?
Yes.
Everybody's ready to go?
Ready.
Kathy said she's close to 1,000 observations on INAT. Kathy, that's incredible. And we've got some surprises in store eventually. We're working on it. All right. So I'm going to, well, let me show you what you win first for bingo. So we have a sticker pack. We've got, oh, there we go. 2 EcoFlora stickers, the large and small, and a neighborhood naturalist pin. This is a cool little button. So if you are the bingo champion, this will be all yours. And then everybody set?
Set.
Start calling things out, and as soon as you win, holler out bingo classic or type it in the chat. And here we go. So the first one, if you, and this is all pertaining to the project. So what you've observed during the project time, not your iNaturalist account as a whole. So just from the beginning of the Metro Phoenix project. All right, if you have made 10 observations, go ahead and mark it off on your board. Start off with, I guess they could be considered easier ones, but. All right, next is if you have observed a cactus, anything in the Cactaceae family, go ahead and mark it off on your board. Oh, I have music. I forgot. All right. I have game show music. If it's too loud, let me know and you can't hear me. Okay. So if you have participated in an EcoQuest, mark that off your board. All right. If you have made an observation at all, if you've made one observation, mark it off on your board. And if anyone needs time to check any of these, just holler out and I'll pause if you need to bring up your account and check. If you have made 10 identifications, so if you have identified 10 things for other people, mark that off on your board. Next up is, sorry, go ahead.
That's okay. Is there an easy way to check on your account? Like, is there a single page that you can see all of these things pertaining to the projects themselves?
Yes, let me bring that up really quick. I'll show you on screen.
Glad you asked that. I was wondering the same thing.
Kind of hard to
like,
go.
There's been so many.
Oh, I have mine in front of me. I guess if you go into the iNaturalist, it comes up.
Yeah, are you
my
on,
observation page? Yeah.
Sierra, are you on the website or the app?
The app. Is it easier on the website?
It is, yeah. Let me, what's your username?
It's EffectSpore, EffectSpore.
That's you, okay. I've been seeing you on there. All right. Well, I'll go to your observations and do you have access to a computer? It'd be easier for me to check for you. Okay. So I have it pulled up, Sierra. I'll let you know. Does that make sense? Is that okay? Okay, cool.
Thank you.
Of course. Not a problem. Is everybody else good?
Good.
Good to go? Okay, perfect. So what was the last one that I called? Now I forgot. Was it an arachnid?
No.
Okay. So we have participated in EcoQuest, made an observation, observed a cactus, and then we have 10 identifications and we have 10 observations, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so let's go with that. If you have observed an arachnid, go ahead and mark that off your board. And Sierra, I do see one for you. All right. Next one is, if you follow us on social media, Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter, mark that off. If you have observed a plant in your neighborhood, mark that one off.
Okay, hold on.
Also, don't forget your free space in the center.
Wait, I need you to wait a minute. What
Which
little-
which
Oh.
quest would the arachnid maybe be under? Do you know?
Which, did you say class?
Quest.
Oh, it's just your observations, not just EcoQuest. So if you
Oh, it's not just EcoQuest? Oh, okay.
it's for EcoFlora, so the overall
I mean, oh,
So anything that you've observed for an EcoQuest should be in there automatically. So they count as well.
okay.
Sandra, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yes, I caught up.
Give me 1 second. Okay. Next up is, if you have signed up for the newsletter, mark that off your board. If you have observed an insect, mark that off your board. Sierra, you have. All right. If you've observed a native plant, mark that off your board. We don't have any winners yet. I don't know what I'm gonna do.
Hold on. You said I was looking in the wrong spot. I was looking at all the individual quests.
Mm,
So arachnid and did you say insect?
I did, yes.
Okay, and then what did you just say?
I said sign up for the newsletter and then observed a native plant.
Oh, native.
Sierra, I don't see a plant. I might be wrong. Actually, shaggy mane might be.
Hmm.
That's a fungus, but we'll see.
A native plant, you mean?
Yes.
I should have like 20 something Ocotillo in there, but I'm getting into my account right now.
Okay.
Just noticed if the same thing is there more than once, can you check it twice?
Oh yeah, I just saw the cactus. So yes, that's
I
technically.
just
another-
noticed that.
Yeah. Sorry guys, it's another free space.
Yeah.
So everybody, to clarify, there's 2 observed a cactus. That's my bad. So you get a bonus. All right, here's that easy one. If you've learned something from an EcoQuest, mark that off. All right, if you have observed a bird, mark that off your board.
All right, I have bingo.
Yay! I was gonna say, Kathy, I'm surprised that you haven't made it yet. All right, Kathy, if you'll email me your mailing address, I'll ship these out to you.
Okay, yeah, I need to reply to your email about the
Yeah.
city nature thing too.
Yeah, no worries. All right. Thank you all for playing. All right, up next we also have trivia.
Oh, no.
Out of here. So does everybody have a pen and paper or something to write with?
Yes.
Okay. So the prize for trivia is a fancy enamel pin. We just got these in not too long ago. Nice lapel pin. And also one of the large stickers. So is everyone ready? We have a total of 80 points possible. Let me scroll down to my questions. I will say the question out loud and then I will put the answer into the chat so you can start tracking your points. And then at the end, add up all your points and put them into the chat. And I'll tell you when. You don't have to do it right now, of course, but all right. So we'll start off with 5-point questions. So make sure you mark that these are 5 points. There are 5 of these. All right. So number 1, what is the scientific name for saguaro? And just write it down. I'll give a little bit of time. Actually, you know what? I'm going to paste all the answers to each section at the end. So I'll paste all the answers to the 5-pointers at the end of the section. All right, we're ready for number 2? True or false? Does broccoli grow naturally in the wild? True or false? Does broccoli grow naturally in the wild? Number 3, what species currently has the most observations in the EcoFlora project? So the overall Metro Phoenix EcoFlora, what species has the most observations? And it can be common name or scientific name for that one.
Okay.
All right. Palm trees, number 4. Palm trees are native to Phoenix. True or false? And a hint here is we're talking about Phoenix, not Arizona. True or false? All right. Number 5. Kathy, do you have a question or did you just do a?
No,
Okay, I saw your thumbs up. All right, number 5. What tenacious flowering invasive plant has spread across central Arizona in the past 5 years? And another hint is that we had an EcoQuest looking for this.
Yeah. Oh, you know what they look like? I remember.
Anybody need me to repeat that? Are we good? And that can be, again, scientific or common name. All right, so I'm going to put the answers to the 5-point question in the chat so you all can mark down if you got them right or not. I'll give you a couple of seconds or a couple of minutes actually. So number 1 was Carnegie gigantea for saguaro. Number 2, false. You cannot find broccoli in the wild. It was cultivated by humans over a very long time. Number 3 is Ocotillo currently has the most observations thanks to the last EcoQuest. We had about 600 observations of Ocotillo, which was really cool. Number 4 was false. The one palm tree native to Arizona is in the Copa National Wildlife Refuge, not technically in Phoenix. And then number 5 is, of course, stinknet, or Oncocyphon polyliferer. I always can't, I have a hard time with that one. Pylulifer. Yeah, Kathy, actually, Kathy said, I thought for sure stinknet would be the number 1 observation. It was number 2 for a while after, I think, saguaros. But with the EcoQuest, it's kind of lost its place. Okay. Does everybody check their answers? Good. We'll move on to the 10-pointers. Okay. Number 1 for these are 10-point questions. What month and year did the Metro Phoenix EcoFlora start? So what month and year did the project start? Number 2, what parrot species was formerly native to Arizona? And we'll take common name or scientific name for that one. What parrot species was formerly native to Arizona? Common or scientific name? And number 3, at what % of scorch is a saguaro likely to die? So what percentage of a saguaro can get scorched by fire and then it's likely to die?
Wow.
Getting a little bit harder. All right. Are you ready for answers?
Yes.
Okay.
Just 3.
Yep, just 3 for the 10 pointers. All right. Number 1, February 2020, February of this year was when the project started. Number 2, the thick-billed parrot, and I'm not even going to attempt that scientific name. It is a good one. And I am not a bird person. I like birds, I just don't study them. And then number 3, at what percentage of scorch is a saguaro likely to die? And that's 30%.
Wow.
Only 30% is pretty much mortality.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I thought it'd be more.
I
Too
did too.
bad. Yeah.
That was a good one. Ariana submitted that question. I thought that was really good. All right, now for the last and final question, this is a 25-pointer. What are the 3 main goals of the EcoFlora project? So if you've attended the intro workshop, we go through these and a little bit into the tech workshops too. But what are the 3 main goals of the EcoFlora project? This is for 25 points. That's a little bit longer of an answer. I'll give everyone a little bit more time. If everybody can give me a thumbs up when, when they're ready, I'll paste the answer in. Sierra's good. Sandra's good. Everybody
May
else?
not be right, but I'm good.
We'll see. All right. The 25-point answer is we're looking to understand more about urbanization, democratize biodiversity data, and increase the appreciation of plant life. Those are the 3 goals that we focus on. All right, now go ahead and add up your points. And you can enter those totals in the chat and we'll see who takes the win. Sierra and Kathy have theirs in. If you want to verbally say your total too, that's totally fine. I can write it down.
I send it? Yeah.
You did, I got it.
Okay.
We might have a tie.
Oh, wow.
All right. I think Michelle might have been busy with admissions. Kim, are you playing along or no? Guess not. Ariana, did you play or no?
I did, but then I thought it would not be fair anyways because I submitted some of the questions.
True. All right, we do have a tie. We have a tie between Kathy and Roxanne. So if both of you Kathy, you had partial. Did you get like 2 out of 3 or?
Yeah, I had biodiversity, community science, and then enjoying nature. So I kind of had 2 of the 3, but
Okay. All right, well, Kathy and Roxanne, if you will both email me your mailing address, I will ship the enamel lapel pin and a sticker out to you. You can email me here. I'll drop it in the chat. EcoFloraPHX@dvg.org. And I'll get those out to you. Was that fun? Were they too hard? Easy? Yeah? Not too bad? All right. Okay, so I wanted to talk to you all about what you're enjoying about the project so far, what you'd like to see from the project, and get some feedback on that. So to start with, we'll do a question or two, and then I'll have an open discussion at the end and listen, we'll have like an open talk. So the first question that I have for you all, and I'll put up a poll, and this is anonymous. So let me know when you can see that. There should be a poll on your screen. You can go ahead and answer. So would you attend happenings in person in small groups, of course, following pandemic guidelines and precautions, spaced out, outside, wearing masks, hand sanitizer provided? We'll give everybody a couple of seconds to answer, and then we'll dive into options from there. Okay. I'll share those results with you. So we're at about 50-50. So half yes, half no. So I'm going to walk through a couple of options of what we're kind of thinking for engagement and kind of really doing more things with EcoFlora. So for in-person, if we can and if we're able and if you're comfortable, and this would be very small groups, 5 people or less, again, following all the recommendations, considering walks, hikes, and field trips, something we're looking at, those can be themed around the EcoQuest or just general trips to learn more about plants and ecology. Thinking also about bike rides. So we'll do, bike rides along the canal or, and stop and make observations along the way. Something else is like wildlife activities. So we could do birding walks or moth lighting or pollinator counts, things like that out in the field. A virtual option would be identification parties, because we have a lot of things in the project that need identification. So we're at about half right now that need to, so we could all virtually get together like this and share screens or try to figure out all those things that need ID, and we can go through and do that together. So that's something virtual. Another virtual option would be botany socials. So we can have virtual meetings like this where we just hang out and talk about plants and learn, or wildlife. We could have a topic and just kind of hang out and maybe learn. We could do short lessons, different presenters, things like that. Sort of like the eco questions, if any of you were there for that. And then we also could do volunteer opportunities. If those are happening come the spring, if possible, if other organizations are looking for volunteers, we can offer those and kind of go together. Bye, Ariana. She already left. Another thing is nature journaling. So we're considering going out and going to different gardens or different places and drawing, painting, or sketching while we're out there and kind of hanging out in small groups. So those are some things that we've thought of, and I'll put up a poll again to see what you all would be comfortable with either way. So that's there for you to answer. And we'll take a couple of minutes if you all have any other ideas, or if you have things that you'd like to do, you can type it in the chat or you can just tell me out loud. Or if you have any feedback for the things that I just said too. Were any of those like really exciting, like they really stood out like things you would want to do, or?
I would definitely be willing to do some volunteering. Also, the botany socials sound great, like learning a little bit more about the plants we're trying to find. And
Awesome.
let's see. Oh, I was curious, for like these walks and hikes, did you say that it would be 5 or less people?
Mhm. Yeah.
So would that be like first come, first serve?
Yeah, we would likely do a registration. So it would probably be through like Eventbrite, or, we would make reservations, to get tickets. It would be free, of course. But yeah, that would be the way that we would work it. And you would sign up. And if it comes down to where we have a lot of interest, we'd probably do multiple in a month if possible. But yeah, I personally would like to keep it to like 3 people. I think that's pretty safe. All right.
Hmm.
Is there anything else that you all are interested in or that you've seen other organizations do, or no? Well, good. I picked good ones then. I spent some time brainstorming, so good. All right. And the
Yeah,
next-
like Kathy said, observation parties sound good too.
yeah,
Talking about identification and things.
cool.
Yeah, I didn't check that, but I think that would be helpful too, to go over. There's some I had that I don't know what they are. Nobody else identified them. So
Sometimes it's hard. Sometimes you don't have observations identified. You just can't. And like I've said in the workshops, if you don't have enough pictures and if you don't have enough things for people to look at to identify, sometimes you just can't. I know for our native, invasive, and introduced EcoQuest, Lisa Rivera gave me a challenge and identified a bunch of dried up, shriveled up plants, and I couldn't identify them, especially without being there. It's really hard this time of year when things are just dried up, and
yeah.
not easy. So it looks like I'll end the poll.
I have something to add.
Yeah.
With regards to, I don't know if maybe this is the part of the volunteer opportunity, but
Ah,
I talk a lot about this. It's like one of the biggest things I have an issue with when it comes to community science stuff is like, once we, like, for instance, like stink net. So we've ID'd all the stink net, we post up where it's at, actually going and removing the stink net. Like, I would like to be involved with the next steps, or what is the data we're collecting for this being used exactly for? How is it being used? And I'm particularly interested in like restoration projects right now. Like, how is I have a group of teen naturalists. We're driving actually down to Marana because we couldn't find anybody to work up here with. And so we're collecting all this data and doing phenology stuff in hopes that the data they're collecting will help with the Santa Cruz restoration work. So kind of like that next step, like where, what's happening, how can we help? How is this information actually being utilized? Because I feel like there's like a disconnect there.
Yeah.
And especially like I work a lot with kids, so I use iNaturalist to teach them, and that's kind of one of the things with the kids is like, okay, well, why are we doing this? So yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know, anything to do with that would be awesome.
I absolutely agree. And I think a big hindrance is obviously the pandemic. So people aren't getting together. We're not getting in groups. We're not seeing, I know Trees Matter has done a few tree plantings. So that might be an option. The Arizona Sustainability Alliance, I think, is doing a little bit, but that's been the biggest thing this year. And this is why I'm asking these questions now, because in year 2 of the project, I really would like to follow through with these things and do more of that connecting and more of that if we can.
Maybe even like webinars, like with information about how what your goals are for this whole project,
So outside of like the intro, do you mean webinars like EcoQuest focused? So like how the results from that, or?
Yeah, like how are you guys coming up with each of these, like the wild for willows or whatever it was,
Mhm.
kind of what was the ultimate goal with that, and are you going to use that data to actually do anything like planting more willows or so like any of those individual quests, kind of what are your next steps? Like I would be interested in, even if we can't get out now, knowing, oh, we're gonna hopefully plant more willows, and maybe then that is something we can get involved in, or if we're able to go pull stink net on our own, because I'm always hesitant to pull it up because I don't want to get in trouble by somebody like a parks person, like, what are you doing? And so yeah, so just maybe is there something or somebody we can talk to maybe go out and do that individually, like at Papago Park, there's loads of stink net and tamarisk, and just yeah, so
Yes.
something along those lines.
So, Desert Defenders with Kazka, we're actually hoping to do that soon, but again, it's all pandemic. It's pending pandemic realities, right? But yes, that is the ultimate goal with Desert Defenders, is we are mapping these things so that we can go remove them. So ideally, when we can, yes, we are absolutely going to. And Kathy, do you use the app more, or are you more on the website?
I use the app more.
Okay.
So the only time I've really used the website is when I am working with kids and the kids have taken photos and I have to like manually upload them because the kids don't have cell phones. That's about the only time I'll get on the actual PC version.
Okay. Because I think there is a disconnect with this project, because I'll do journal posts on iNaturalist, but unless you're on the web or get those emails, you don't see that. And even when you join an EcoQuest, you don't really see what's written about that EcoQuest in the app. So I think that we do put a lot of that information in there, but I think it doesn't get read and it doesn't get seen because a lot of people are just on the app. Like when I first joined iNaturalist, like I said, I had no clue there was even a website. So knowing that and checking, which is another big reason to sign up for the newsletter, because I try to summarize everything about the EcoQuest, the results. Like for this one in November, I drew out the possible corridors with the Ocotillo that we mapped with the EcoQuest that could be pollinator corridors for hummingbirds or carpenter bees. So the newsletter is a good central place right now, because we don't have, the marketing team is working on a website for us where everyone can go and read these things and see like the newsletters that are archived, the EcoQuests that are archived. So you'll be able to find those things there. We just don't have it yet. But the most information is in, like if you go on the website and go to the EcoQuest and the journal for the overall project is a great place to see that information, because we actually do basically give a goal of what the EcoQuest is doing, and then I'll type up the results and send those out and post them in a journal post, and also in the newsletter. So I think, like I said, there is I'm going to stop sharing the poll really quick. I think there is a disconnect there, and it's hard to get people that are on iNaturalist outside of that too. So I was hoping social media could also be a good venue for that. But I found that, let me go to the project really quick. I found that on social media, if you go into like our links, it takes you to the iNaturalist website, and a lot of people get frustrated with that because it doesn't open in the app. So you go to join an EcoQuest and it's bringing you to the website, and people are like, well, I don't want to do that. I just want to go to the app directly. And there's no way to do that either. So it's a lot of like technical things that we're trying to work out and make all of it kind of be on the same page and put the same information everywhere. But in case anyone here hasn't seen the journal for the project, I'm going to paste that link in the chat. So every month, sorry, go ahead, Kim.
Just going to say something about the stink net and the volunteering is it has a lot to do with the pandemic. I know in Tempe, they would love to have volunteers, but they like to do some oversight, you know, as far as mapping out areas and that type of thing. And they're uncomfortable putting people together right now. But I know at our next Desert Conservation Commission meeting, Ariana is going to be talking about Desert Defenders, I think. And that will help. And I'm hoping other cities, you know, get on board with that as well.
Yeah. Thank you, Kim. Yeah, so every month I'll do a write-up for the EcoQuest with all the information of, hey, like this is all about it. I put the key basically from SciNet in there to help with identification. So that's all in that journal post every month. Sierra, were you going to say something?
Oh, Kim, when you're referring to Tempe, are you talking about the city of Tempe? They're the ones trying to get rid of the stick net. Is that it?
Yes, I've been talking to them for the past year and a half, and it's a bit bureaucratic, so it's taking them a while to get on board. And just because I've had that relationship with the Parks Department, I was able to go out into the desert park by my house, which is right next to Papago, Evelyn Hallman, and do removal myself. I looked a little strange scooting around on the ground by myself, this little old lady that nobody approached because she looked too weird, but
Been there, done that.
that's because I had a relationship with them anyway, and they were comfortable with me doing it by myself.
Yeah, and I think Kathy had a good point about you don't want to pull when you're in the preserve, even though you know it's an invasive species, it's still removing plant material from, you know, a park or preserve. So, and it is bureaucratic. It is, you know, working with parks, preserves, organizations, you know, there's a lot to it as opposed to going out and getting a group and pulling. And, you know, you have to train people too. If they don't know, like, what it looks like, you know, there are some invasives that resemble some natives. So if you have people go out and pull plants, they could be pulling natives that they think are invasive. Like thistle is a great example. We have a native thistle and a lot of people don't know that. So if you go pull out thistle that you think is invasive and you're actually pulling out the native, that's a problem too. So there's more to it than, you know, going out. Thank you, Kathy, for the comment about the quests. So yes, as kind of a summary for the whole what activities are you interested in, the poll results, it looked like it was pretty fair split amongst everything, but walks and hikes and field trips are the most, what you all are interested in the most. And like I said, pending how pandemic goes, we will try to do these things in the spring. A lot of programs are postponed at least through the spring. And even working with different organizations or collaborating, it's like everything is still on pause that's in person for things like this. So but there are things, I think the ID parties would be great. That's virtual, that's easy. So we can definitely still do those things. And in line with that, thinking about the disconnect in communication again, I guess another poll that would be good to do would be, how do you get your information about this project? Where do you all find it? Is it through social media? Has it been through the journal posts? Where do you guys see the most about this project?
Well, the newsletter and, you know, emails that you've sent, and then just on my app, I've looked at information in different sections and what people, you know, some of the things where I observe something and then somebody, you know, answered with it. Yeah.
Okay, so go ahead. Sierra, were you going to say something? I think you're muted.
Okay. For me, it's Instagram. And I like that avenue a lot because then it's easy to share with other people who wouldn't normally get that information. So yeah, I appreciate that.
Since you said that, I would love to hear your feedback about the Instagram in general. Do you find it informative, or what would you like to see from it? And totally be honest. I don't want to hear it.
So far, yeah, Kathy, resharing is great. So far, so good. I'll keep my eyes peeled a little more. Like Kathy was mentioning, I think more focus on what you're doing with the information would be good, like a little transparency there, to to get people to understand why they should care about these things. That's like a personal goal of mine, and that just getting the connection between what we're doing and why we're doing it, why the average person should be caring about these things.
That is excellent. Thank you so much. I think that in my brainstorming, that has definitely been a goal for, again, this upcoming year, is making those connections and putting that information out there of what we're doing. You know, it's not just a feed of, hey, look at these cool plants. Like, you know, it has been this year kind of building in that interest, but I absolutely agree. And I love the point of connecting what and why. You know, why should people care? Why does this even matter? So more posts about why urban biodiversity matters, right? And why we need this data, what we're looking at. That is excellent. Thank you so much.
Yes, I do a lot on the Instagram too. I really like your the information that you share about you know, the different plants. And I actually run a couple. I run the Master Naturalist Arizona, the Maricopa County Master Naturalist Instagram too. So you know, I try to reshare what you post and the EcoQuest and all that stuff. So
Thank you. Yeah, and as I've said before in workshops and things, if anyone has things to share, or that's a huge part of this project too, is collaboration and teamwork and getting that information out there. So if there's an organization that you know of, or send it to me, message it to me, say, hey, this is cool, check this out. I'm totally open, sharing and promoting. That's community is a huge part of this as well.
I have another feedback thing real quick. That botany symposium was amazing.
It was fun, right?
Yeah, that was like really great. I was bummed last year because I saw it, well, like when, you know, you guys actually had it live, and I like just missed the sign up and I couldn't get there. Anyway, so I did it online and it was really, really good. Like that was so much information. It was incredible. So
I think the one about the insects was my favorite. My mind was blown. Like, it was really cool. So things like that, that's another good point about events and activities. And I try to include some of that in the newsletter too, of things outside of EcoFlora, right? Things that the Native Plant Society is doing, or like the Maricopa Native Seed Library, you know, we partnered with them for an EcoQuest. So yeah, collaboration and getting that out there, that's another great response. Thank you. Anything else? So we move on to the next. Okay. So as an open discussion, which we've already kind of gotten into this already, I have 3 kind of questions to focus this last about 10 minutes on. So what do you enjoy most about the project? And I've heard a little bit of this already, but like, what are some of your favorite things that you like? I think that learning has been a theme, and then seeing those results and the what and why. I feel like that's a theme to what you all enjoy. Is that a good summary? Yeah, got a thumbs up from Kathy. All right. I think, yeah, I think that's a lot of good feedback already. I think the effect is another good thing to kind of summarize, is the impact. Like, what is the project? How is it impacting the area? What are we doing? You know, that kind of stuff. Yeah. Second question, what would you like to see from the project? Is there anything that you feel is lacking? And I've heard that, you know, kind of about the social media just now, but is there anything the project as a whole that you'd like to see? No, that's kind of a big question, but anything we can improve upon?
Jenny, is there a way that we can look at trends, or such as this summer, because it was so hot and it looks like we're going to have a lack of rain through the spring? Is there a way that we can kind of track trends of how plants and insects and animals are being affected, possibly?
Yes, that is a huge question. Because it's kind of a big biodiversity question, right? And honestly, one of the goals for year 2 is to start looking at those big questions. And the eco quests are contributing to that information. So as we're looking at that, and like I said before, the monsoon eco quest was a great example. And I was looking at that one, and like I said, we had a non-soon, right? We had nothing. It was absolutely brutal. And we see that. We see in the latest journal post that I did, one of the latest ones, it was the results, and I posted a few articles from newspapers. They interviewed Raul from the garden about what was happening to saguaros because they've had no rain. So those things I'm going to try to incorporate more and more, even if it's not directly from us, right? So if it's from ASU, if it's from anyone doing research on it, I think that's a really cool thing to include as a whole, because we can't do it by ourselves, right? So that collaboration in science is absolutely essential always. But yeah, the non-soon, there's bigger questions there too, because we didn't have a lot of observations. I think that's the lowest amount of observations that we've had for an EcoQuest was the monsoon one. And I was thinking on that, and it's like, is that because it's been so dry and these species aren't out and about? Are Palo Verde beetles not out because we haven't had that rain? That trigger's not there? Or is it that it was just so brutally hot, no one wanted to get outside, right? So kind of looking at those questions from different angles. And like I said, I included a little bit of that in the journal post. But yeah, absolutely would like to start looking and presenting those things more. And like I said, the newsletter, I really feel like is the central spot for all of those things. So I really, really want to push and promote the newsletter a lot more, and encourage everybody to sign up for that isn't. But yeah, I really like that idea of actually starting to track the trends and present the science that's happening.
On some of those projects, for instance, like the monsoon one, are you able to, are you able to easily get a hold of us that are contributing and ask us, like, was it that you weren't seeing stuff or you weren't going out? And I don't know if there's a way to get feedback that way. And then the second thing I was thinking of was, iNaturalist added the phenology options now. I don't know that anybody knows those are there. And I think it has a lot of potential. So I don't know, maybe also doing something like you guys did the invasive one, where we had to type in, like it was introduced, whatever, invasive. So I don't know, maybe doing something where encouraging people to use those phenology options. So yeah, I don't think anybody knows that feature's up there yet. So
Yeah, definitely.
No. Could you explain that a little further?
Yeah.
yes.
Uh,
Go ahead.
I was gonna say I can share my screen really quick if you want. It might be easy. And this is on the website. So Sierra, do you have Android or iPhone?
You can do it from the app too.
Was that with the update that they did, Kathy?
So yeah, with the app, you have to log your observation first, and then when you click back on your observation, like on the first screen down at the bottom, you'll see the phenology options. So you can't submit your observation and do the thing all at the same time. You kind of have to do, it's a two-step process, which is kind of annoying, but
Yeah.
I've been going back through a lot of my observations and adding the phenology information, because I'm getting my Nature's Notebook certification right now, my phenology leader. So I was really excited when iNaturalist added that. And so
Are you on iPhone or Android?
I have an Android.
Okay, so here's a big discrepancy. Honestly, the iNat app on iPhone is terrible compared to Android. Sad news, but yeah, Android lets you do a lot of functionality that the iPhone app does not. iPhone will only let you mark captive or cultivated in the options. So it's kind of a bummer. So for us, if we have an iPhone, we have to go on the website and add those phonology fields or those observation fields. So it's kind of a huge bummer. And I really hope, sorry, were you saying something, Sandra?
I was saying that's a bummer.
It is.
Oh, I'm just looking at, I have my phone here. I have an Android. The phenology, I guess it wasn't anything I ever did. I could,
Yeah.
but I guess in some cases I thought, well, flowering was obvious, but maybe we should check this anyway.
Well, and I think the reason they're trying to do it is so that you can, because it shows you the little calendars, and so then you can actually kind of do the visual data with it.
Yeah.
Wait,
I'll
say that again.
I'll show you all on,
So
sorry, go ahead, Kathy.
I was just saying, it'll like when you mark the phenology, like if everybody went in and was marking their ocotillo,
Oh,
you
yeah.
would be able to sort of see this calendar of when it's flowering and when it's not. And so I think that's, yeah, the advantage of it. But
Yeah, so again, Android is awesome for being able to do that. But I'm sharing my screen with you all now, and this is on the website. So if you go into, I'll start from the beginning. So this is your home page. And if you go to your observations, and then this is your list of things that you've seen. If you click on any of those, this is your observation page on the website, right? So this is my observation of desert broom I just did. And you'll see the map here on the right, but if you scroll down on the right-hand side, you see this annotations box right here. This is where you can do those things. And for this EcoQuest, actually, for Broom Bloom, Steve Jones had a great suggestion of noting whether they're male or female. So if you can go back in and edit, and I noted that this was a female plant. So we can have that data too, right? And then phenology. So here I can select, like Kathy was just talking about, is it flowering, is it budding, is it fruiting? Which the struggle I have here is it doesn't give you an option for both, because sometimes plants are doing both at the same time, you know? So, but just choose the one, I guess, that's the majority, is usually what I do. And then you select it, and it takes a second to upload that data. Oh, it does. Now it gives you a second field, so you can choose again another one. So that's cool. That's a good update. So that's how you can do it there. And then I'll show you, if you click on the plant name, it'll take you to an overall page. So this is where you can see all the observations. Right now, I think it's set to all of North America. I could be wrong, but you can filter by place. So I look at just Metro Phoenix, but anyhow, in this screen, you see these tabs, right? You see seasonality, you have history, which is cool because it'll show you how many people have seen over time. And then the sex, whether it's male or female, how many male plants people have seen and how many females. So this can give us a good idea, especially for plants that are dioecious, how many of which do we have? And then phenology, so we can see right here. This is what Kathy was talking about. So October, 11 of them were flowering, 1 was fruiting, 3 of them were budding. So it's really cool to have that data, but it's only there if people enter it. So it's awesome to be able to input all that data and have it if you take the time. So iNaturalist has a ton of features. There's so much. I know for those of you that went to the tech workshop, we barely scratched the surface on this stuff, but there's so much that you can do. And this is the data that we'll use for things, right? And let me stop sharing really quick. Is there anything else that I missed while I'm here? Did you ask me something else? I think we're good. Kathy, what was the first question you asked me? I'm sorry.
I don't remember.
I'm sorry. I'm reading through the chat to make sure I didn't miss anything from you all. Sierra, avian disease, there was a large die-off of birds in like the Southwest. So New Mexico saw a lot of birds are mysteriously dying, and they don't really know why. So I can't say yes, it's a disease. But at the same time, here in the Valley, I can actually send you an article. Lovebirds are not native to here. And they're actually spreading a disease. So yes, there are ongoing avian diseases here in the area. And that's something I actually have an EcoQuest that I'd like to do, looking at lovebirds. So yeah, getting into that kind of thing is really exciting, and that kind of research. Making a note really quick. Do we have avian disease? Shouldn't even add, oh yeah, alive and dead. So that's why you asked that, gotcha. Yeah, it's really cool. Someone has a project in California just looking at roadkill. So they analyze, but it's good information because we know how many animals we're losing. And so that contributes to data for wildlife corridors, you know, where they build those big bridges over the roadways. And I mean, that's great information to have, so we know. And then we can see, okay, once that's built, how many are we not losing? Are we seeing less roadkill on the road?
Yeah, the amount of coyotes I see are just sad.
Yeah, yes. Kathy, do you have that article? They found out that it was because of a cold snap?
I don't have it. It's on Audubon's like main national website. They said they thought it was probably the wildfires at first, maybe causing early migration. Then they said it was just that major cold snap that happened, and they started migrating too early, and they didn't have fat stores and everything, so they were dying off in like Colorado and New Mexico. I did log some dead birds here, but I don't think they were related to that. I think that was just normal.
It's interesting though, because a friend of mine had 10 or 20 birds die around his house, and he's in like Metro Phoenix, like on Pierce Street. So it's really interesting. I've seen a couple of people logging in that same time frame. So maybe, I mean, we also had insanely hot temperatures then too, so it could be a combination of both.
I've seen a lack of insects. I mean, I've hardly seen any butterflies this year at all.
Yep. McDowell Sonoran actually in their newsletter, their butterfly count, it was minimal. They said it was heartbreaking. They hardly found any butterflies this year. Like it was like they found in the tens, I think, when it's usually in the hundreds. Something like that. Don't quote me, but it was drastically different this year.
Oh, I remembered what I was saying. I was wondering if there was ways for you to reach out to the people who contributed to find out if they could give you, I don't know, maybe like a survey or something, like maybe put it in the newsletter. Hey, would you mind taking this survey if you participated? We just want to know, like, were you actually out and not seeing these things, or were you not going out much because it was hot or whatever? Maybe it's just sort of to help kind of put all the pieces together.
Yes. So iNaturalist doesn't, which is a great feature, it doesn't let you spam people. So you can't send group messages on iNaturalist, which is why I do the journal posts, because that's out there. And I honestly don't get a lot of feedback from the journal posts. And like we said tonight, a lot of you kind of gave me the sense that you don't really see those. You mostly see the newsletter. So it's kind of hard to use iNaturalist in a way for mass communication because you literally can't. I would have to individually message the 196 members that we have right now, or make a journal post, which I don't know that everyone's going to see. So I can, yes, and I love the idea of putting a survey in the newsletter. And I probably will if we encounter an EcoQuest like that again, where I need that feedback. Another thing is that it's pretty much me. And so it depends on the time that I have also to be able to do these things, get those answers, sort through them. This newsletter, the EcoQuest for Native, Invasive, and Introduced, was honestly a bear. We went through about 300 observations and identifying them, deciding whether they were accurate or not, and putting that into a spreadsheet, sorting through that, making those. Oh, bye, Sierra. Thank you so much. Thanks for being here. I appreciate your feedback. But yeah, that was a bear. That was a lot of time to just get those pie charts and get those results back in, and put them in the newsletter. So yes, I would love to be able to do that. And I think that's a great idea for surveys and honestly things like this. And that's another question I have is like increasing engagement, which is why doing more activities is important to me. Because I think us sitting around talking like this is so important, because I've gotten more feedback from you all tonight than I have in the past, however long. So I think these sessions are really important, and why I'm really grateful for you all being here to hear these things, which is a lot easier and a lot more personable than filling out, a Google form, right, or a survey. And everyone can talk through it, which I think is a great help. And then there was another question you had after that. I'm sorry, Kathy.
I think the other one was just the phonology thing.
Okay. So the very last question I have for you all, and if you want to type it in the chat, or if you would like to personally email me if you feel like it's a personal question, what makes you feel like a valued project participant in this Metro Phoenix EcoFlora? So what makes you feel like you're heard? What makes you feel like what you're doing is valuable, your input, that kind of thing?
Well, even this kind of a meeting where, we know that you're trying to get information, we're able to comment. And so we feel that, yeah, and it's been fun also, I should say. Yeah.
Glad. Thank you. Anybody else? Feedback, thoughts?
Well, I feel just the response that I get, especially on things that I don't recognize, is really helpful, and the reaffirmation of the ones that I am identifying, I've identified correctly, and I think that helps us understand how this environment is changing and our effect on it.
So the having people identify things and, or agree with your identifications is important to you.
Yeah, I would say that's helpful too.
Okay. And it's kind of like the whole idea of the app, right? You want to know what those things are that you're submitting. Okay. That is getting highlighted in my notes. Thank you. Anything else? No? Well, thank you so very much, all of you, for being here. Like I said, it means so much to me and I appreciate it. And this is improving the project overall and contributing to what Metro Phoenix EcoFlora is working on. So I appreciate your honest feedback and I hope you had fun tonight. And as always, if you have any questions or ideas or collaborators, please feel free to email me anytime.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. You guys have a great night.